A world famous writer who once went missing for 11 days, and her disappearance spread like wildfire across the globe. Her play, first staged in 1952, is still being performed in London today. She is called the Queen of Crime and Mystery. She was honored by Queen Elizabeth II herself with the title Dame and awarded the highest medal of honor, the Dame. She holds the record as the best-selling fiction writer of all time. Her novels have sold over 2 billion copies worldwide. That one and only writer is Agatha Christie. Hello everyone, how are you all? I am Hemant Yadav and I warmly welcome you to our today's special episode, that is Pustakalay presents Sahitya Card. See, from the title, you already know who we will talk about today. For the younger generation, this name might feel new, but to connect you with her, let me remind you. So, have you watched these movies? Haunting in Venice, Death on the Nile, Murder on the Orient Express? All of these are based on Agatha Christie's stories. In fact, more than 40 films have been made from her works. So let's dive into the life of his legendary author. If you enjoy this episode, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Agatha Christie, full name Dame Agatha Mary Clarissa Christie, is world famous for her 66 detective novels and 14 short story collections. She was born on September 15, 1890 in Torquay, Devon, into a wealthy middle-class family. Her childhood was filled with a joy. Since her siblings were much older and there weren't many children in her neighborhood, Agatha spent much of her time playing alone with her pets and imaginary friends. According to Agatha, her mother believed she shouldn't learn to read until she was 8. But Agatha's curiosity for reading was so strong that she taught herself to read by the age of 4. Her older sister attended boarding school, but Agatha's mother decided to educate her at home. Her entire education took place at home, guided by her parents and sister. They also taught her music, and Agatha learned to play the piano and mandolin. She loved reading since childhood. She consumed books by Mary Louisa Molesworth and Edith Nesbit, and then moved on to Edward Lear, Lewis Carroll, Anthony Hope, Walter Scott, Charles Dickens, and Alexandre Dumas. At just 10 years old, in April 1901, she wrote her first poem, The Cowslip. By 1901, her father's health had deteriorated. He died of pneumonia and long-term kidney disease in November 1901. With his death, her childhood ended at the age of 11. Because their financial situation had become critical, her elder sister was married and had gone to her in-laws' house. Her brother was abroad, so now it was just Agatha and her widowed mother for each other's company. Even then, her mother did not give up and sent Agatha to Paris to study. After completing her education, she returned to her mother, and after returning, she continued her social work, writing and performing plays. Along with her friends, she performed the play The Blue Beard of Unhappiness. At 18, she wrote her first short story, The House of Beauty, followed by others, many of which explored spiritualism and the supernatural like The Call of Wings and The Little Lonely God. However, no magazine was willing to publish her stories. They were all rejected, and during this time, she wrote her first novel, Snow Upon the Desert, which was rejected by 6 publishers too. Feeling discouraged, Agatha sought advice from her mother, who suggested consulting the famous writer Adam Philpotts, who lived nearby. He encouraged her writings and connected her with his publisher, but even they rejected her novel and advised her to write a new one. During this period, Agatha's social activities grew and she met Archie Christie. They quickly fell in love and within 3 months, Archie proposed and Agatha accepted. Archie was a Royal Artillery officer later assigned to the Royal Flying Corps. On Christmas evening 1914, they married at Emmanuel Church in Clifton, Bristol. When World War I began, Archie was sent to France and later returned to Britain as a colonel in the Air Ministry. Meanwhile, Agatha joined the British Red Cross Voluntary Aid Detachment, working as a nurse at the Town Hall Red Cross Hospital from 1914 to 1918. Friends, Agatha loved reading detective novels, especially The Woman in White and The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, and early Sherlock Holmes stories by Arthur Conan Doyle. In 1916, she wrote her first detective novel, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, but it wasn't published until 1921. Many publishers had rejected it, but John Lane at the Boldly Head finally accepted it on the condition that her next 5 books be published with them. And by now, Agatha had settled into married life. Archie left the Air Force and took a city job while Agatha focused on her writings. She published her second novel, earning £50, and soon her third novel followed. No one could stop her writing career now. Everything seemed to be going smoothly until Agatha suddenly became global news. She vanished for 11 days. Over 1,000 police officers, 15,000 volunteers, and several planes searched for her, but she wasn't found. And finally, she was discovered at the Swan Hydropathic Hotel in Harrogate, Yorkshire. But what exactly happened? In April 1926, Agatha's mother passed away, leaving her devastated. To make matters worse, in August 1926, Archie asked for a divorce because he had fallen in love with Nancy Neal and wanted to marry her. This led to a heated argument, and that night, Agatha left home in anger, becoming the talk of the world for the next 11 days. No one knew the exact reason behind her disappearance, but it can be guessed that she was very depressed and probably went away to be alone. After much struggle, Agatha and Archie divorced in 1928. However, she kept the surname Christie for her writings. After the divorce, she traveled on the Orient Express to Istanbul and then Baghdad, where she met archaeologist Max Mallowan. They married in September 1930, marking the start of new chapter in her life. Their marriage lasted until her death, and she often joined Max on his archaeological expeditions, which inspired the Middle Eastern settings in many of her novels. Many things had happened in her life and were going to keep happening, but she never stopped her writing. She kept writing continuously. She also had a lot of property. Wherever she lived, she wrote. On all those houses, a blue plaque has been placed by the government in her memory. And not only that, but the room in the Pera Palace Hotel in Istanbul, where she sat and wrote the novel Murder on the Orient Express, has been kept exactly the same by the hotel even today in her memory. Agatha Christie did not like loud noises, gramophones, or cinema. She also did not like alcohol or smoking. On the contrary, she liked the sun, the sea, flowers, travel, different foods, games, theatre, piano, embroidery. Her favorite private activity was gardening, for which she also won many local prizes. In the early parts of her career, she was rarely out of the bestsellers list. In 2018, Guinness World Records registered her names as the best-selling fiction writers of all time. By 2020, over 2 billion copies of her novels had been sold in different languages. This author passed away due to the natural causes at the age of 85 on January 12, 1976. But her journey did not stop with her death. Even today, the novels she wrote, the words in them, sink into our hearts with the same strength. So friends, have you ever read her stories? If you have, which stories is your favorite? Do let us know in the comments. So friends, how did you like today's information? Do let us know in the comments below. And yes, if you liked it, be sure to like, share and subscribe. Until then, keep reading, because if you read, you will succeed.